Welcome back to the Dana Grant Show, where I love to connect with heart centered entrepreneurs. And you're going to love who's in the house today. Russ Rogers. Oh, I like that. Russ delayed Rogers is someone who came into my world that was just so much synergy, so much connection, so much reverence for what you do in the world. Not only the books you write, how you woke up and you just said, I'm going to launch an event. Everything that comes out of your mouth is inspirational. You emulate
Mm,
life and movement, and you show up as a visionary. I admire you greatly. I consider you a dear friend already. I
mm.
love that you're on the podcast show today, and I love that we already have a deep connection. And welcome to the show. I can't wait to unfold all the things you're doing.
That's amazing. Dana, thank you for the beautiful intro. And just like you, like I love our synergy, I love our connection, and it hasn't been that long, but it feels like it's
No,
been a lot longer, right? Just because
yeah.
of the depth.
I think we
So
just said energy doesn't lie.
it
Anything that came
doesn't.
out of, yeah, we just like connected and that was it. We said, what are we going to do together? How
Yeah.
are we going to build this?
Yeah.
What are we going to share in the world?
And
Yeah.
it's just the beginning. That's the beautiful thing,
Yeah.
right? We spent time prior to this show,
Yep.
just strategizing, thinking, just using our minds to create, right?
Yeah.
Some things will come to fruition, some things won't, and that's
Yeah.
okay. But the idea is that we're putting it out there
I love
with
the
the
fact
idea.
that what I love so much about you is that you were so thoughtful to send an email about all your ideas. And today we just sat with it and just like you said, just kind of synergized and see what comes to fruition, which one highlights, which one, and we made somewhat of a plan,
Yes.
and of Santa Cruz and Portland, and you've got some big things coming up. But you know what I really love? I love the fact that here you are, this normal guy, this faith-based normal guy. You own a company, and you decide to have an event. Was it everything you needed let's talk about that. We're going to start there. We're going to put a pin in it
Let's
right
do it.
there.
Let's do it.
You go, I know you went to an event and then you're like, I can do this, and you did it.
Exactly. That's exactly how it happened.
Yeah.
I went to a number of events last year in 2024.
Mhm.
And sitting there, I'm feeling this. The first one that I went to was a small room with Coach Burt and Craig Siegel, and there was just like 30 people in the room, and that's where I ultimately ended up meeting my podcast host Dan Skoka. So he was on one side of the room, I'm on the other. We were one of the first that met when I got off the elevator. Like he was
Love that.
standing there, and I just, hi, my name is Russ Rogers, Dan Skoka, and met a couple other people, and then it was that night that he and I and Renee V, we all
Yeah.
went out to dinner and we were sitting there, shooting the breeze, went up to some live music for, about 4.5 hours. And we knew that there was a connection, just like you and I.
Yeah. Is
But
there anything
sitting,
better than that? Just taking the time to get to know people and look at what happened because you said yes to that. Because you said
exactly.
hello. I say Russ,
Yeah.
pause, Rogers. It's just because everything
Yeah.
about you is about connection, and you talk about this
All the
exactly what you
time.
just did. You talk about, and I think it's like families, inspiring families to step away from screens and into connection. And that's
Yes.
exactly what you do.
Yes. The thing about it is when I live by the beach. So I see people that come to the beach, and what do? They get on their phones, right?
Ooh. Oh,
Taking
I
taking
was gonna say
selfies,
they walk on the
scrolling,
beach, they
you
in
know,
Santa Cruz, they're on the boardwalk, they're looking at whales, they're looking at sharks, they're on their phones.
they're on
Wow.
their phones. They're
I
on their
wouldn't have thought
phones.
that. You just took me back a bit.
I'll share
Yeah.
with you one Sunday morning. I went down. It was a beautiful, clear morning, and it was, around 8 in the morning. Quiet, nobody's on the beach. I walked down, and there laying on the sand was an older gentleman and what appeared to be his granddaughter.
Mhm.
And the granddaughter is playing in the sand, with a
Mhm.
couple of toys. And what is the grandfather doing? He's on
On
his
the
phone.
phone. On the phone.
And I'm just sitting there or standing there and I'm looking down on this, right? Because I'm elevated. I'm looking down on this and I'm just like my heart was breaking. Like, dude, you have an opportunity here and you're totally missing it. The granddaughter, again, who I think is the granddaughter, is looking to this grandfather like, would you play with me? Like, You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And he was just constantly on the phone. And I'm just like, it hurts. It hurts
Yeah.
because it's like, here's an opportunity that you have a chance to spend quality time with a young child, right? And to
Yeah.
connect. And there was a disconnection because of why? Because of a
Mm.
cell phone. Like we cannot get away from these devices. And, ultimately, Dana, it is a choice. It's a
Yeah.
choice that we have of whether we're going to get on that phone, whether we're going to spend time scrolling, whatever we're going to do, right?
Yeah.
But let's disconnect. Let's pause every single day for a
Yeah.
period of time, right? And just connect with one another or with nature. Get
It's
outside.
funny. It's so interesting you say that. And, I don't know if it's easier because I come from a generation of no phones and how I did connect with nature. And my mom would shoo us out of the house until dinner time. And I was a tomboy and I jumped on wild horses. And I mean, I'd be gone all day long and I would make fishy pulls out of sticks. It was crazy the stuff I did.
Yeah.
Crazy. I look back and I'm like, who's watching me? And there were a lot of accidents. There were a lot of accidents. I got a lot
Nobody.
of no one watching me. Exactly. I had three brothers and and a sister, but yeah, no one was watching me. But the fact of the matter is it more? I know you was this the vision behind your movement of the today's children's book series? Because I just thought about this. There are people in the world today and generations in the world that don't know anything but this
Cell phone.
phone,
Yes.
this connection, this energy. They don't know what it's like to disconnect and to be in that freedom. I mean,
Yes.
freedom. I mean, my garden, lakes, rivers, wherever I can go in nature, hugging trees, I do it because there's so much freedom. And the ocean is like
Yeah.
I crave the ocean.
Yeah.
Of just being there and that it represents the flow. Is that what was behind the today's series
Absolutely.
of children's book that they've got no connection but what they know to be true, and this is we live in a world of comparison and online.
Yeah. You
I've
know,
never even played a
when
game in my life. Gaming, I never even played a game, not even a Pac-Man.
when you think about it, right? If you go back just to COVID, right? We were
Yeah.
shut in. We were shut in, right? And we became disconnected. But then what happened is we spent more time watching television, gaming, hanging out on our devices, right? Playing video games, whatever it is, anything that had to do with technology, we're
Oh, really?
locked in.
Not reading. I read more. Let's see. I read more. I read more. I connected more. I played games. I started buying board games.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so do you think that it was universally we were just like more connected to what the world's doing?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, as a part of that, it was like that wasn't just the beginning of it. It all started, when we think about our lives and the story that we have within us. My story began a long time ago, right? When
Mhm.
you talked about going out and playing outside by yourself.
Yeah.
Like there was a 7-year gap between my next oldest brother and me. So I
Mm.
spent a lot of time on my
Yeah.
own. I was
Yeah.
involved in sports, but we lived out on a little farm, and my parents had 3.5 acres, and we created. We created. There was a
And there were
cornfield.
chores. There were
Yeah,
chores on 3.5 acres. Yeah.
yeah, and so we did all that stuff. We
Yeah.
we played with the animals. We had cats, we had dogs, we had horses. So we did
Yeah.
all that outside stuff. And now when I go back, my mom, it's like a park like setting, because when I was about 10, we got rid of all of the cows and everything. My dad started planting trees. Then it became this park like setting. Well, now these trees are 100 feet tall, right?
Mm.
And it's just beautiful, right? And so I want my grandkids
Yeah.
to get out and experience those things, right? I don't want them to grow up. They're going to grow up on tablets. They're going to grow up on cell phones eventually, but I want them to be outside. I want them to connect with nature. I want them to ride bikes and scooters, and I'm going to be right there with them. And so when I look at this and see the disconnection between being outside or being inside, think about this, Dana. How many times were you asked to come inside, right? Now we're asked to go outside, right?
Never. I
Like
was never,
you
and like the
got to
door
get
was
out,
locked. You're not coming
pushing
back
them
in
out
until
the
dinner
door.
time. Yeah. Door was locked. You're not coming in and getting dirt on my floors,
You
kind of thing.
know? Yeah.
Go
So
out
we
and
would go
play. Go out
outside
and
for
play. Yeah.
hours.
Yeah.
I would be out playing basketball with my buddies on a
Yeah.
Friday and Saturday night till midnight, and then
Yeah.
we'd go jump in the pool. And
Yeah. And
we
there was
had
no
to
one
be
looking for
asked.
you. No
Yeah,
one looking for you.
yeah. So
You're
it's like,
absolutely
okay,
right.
you got to get out. Well, so all of this is a part of the story.
Yeah.
And then I was a personal trainer for 20 years with baseball and softball kids. So I was spending quality time with these kids, right? So at that point in time, whenever COVID hit, all of the schools, all of the parks closed, and I had no place to personally train. And I knew
Mm,
after about 6 months, it was like, okay, it's time to kind
right.
of walk away from this. And it
Mm.
wasn't an easy decision because that was my passion. That was my love, spending time
Ooh.
with kids. But then on a flight from California to New York City about a year later, it
Mm,
just hit me. And I wrote the word move inside my journal. There was nothing in the journal. I bought the journal and just carried it with me. And I had it in my backpack. I wrote the word move and the stories just began to unfold. And over the next 3 to 5 months, I continued to write. And even then, Dana,
mm.
I had no idea that it was going to go into a book. I had no idea that it was going to develop into a series, and I told nobody. I didn't tell anybody. I just
Wow.
was doing all of this stuff. So it was so funny because,
Yeah.
I didn't tell my mom until like 4 months before my book launch. Like, I kept it so quiet. And all of my
Wow.
friends here at the beach, I didn't tell them. And all of a sudden, they get this invite from me to show up at a book signing. And they're like, what?
And were they
It,
surprised that it was a children's book series?
yes. Yeah.
That
And
like, what,
so
Russ, who are you? What's happening?
yes,
What are you
exactly. So they're
doing? Yeah.
wondering, like, what in the world is going on, right?
Yeah.
And it was just an incredible moment, to be able to share with them and to be able to share with people in my community about the Today series. And this was just things that had been built up within me that was
Mhm.
inside of here that needed to be shared. And so then I began to really break this down. And I was like, I don't want to put this into one book. I think I'm going to do a series of books so that
Mm.
when a parent reads it, that they want to take their infant outside and to go on a walk, put them in a front pack, put them in a backpack, put them in a stroller. Let's go take a nature walk, right? Let's go around the city block. Let's go out and do some fun things. Well, then obviously, as a child gets older and they get to 5, they're off to school, and so let's play hide and seek in the front yard. Let's play kickball. Let's go out and fly a kite, right? Let's build sandcastles. Just wonderful things outside that all of us know that we can do, but we don't
Mhm.
necessarily think about what we can do, right? So
Yeah.
in these series of books, there's about 120 activities that parents can do with their kids that are basically free,
Yeah, I was
that
gonna say,
you can
and
go
free.
out and
Just
go
gotta
out in
walk out the
nature.
door.
Just walk
Right.
out the door, set aside the time, and get away, pause from
Mhm.
devices, and let's spend more time connecting with each other.
I love that. I know as a father, did you do this with your
Oh,
children?
absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
are they doing it with their children now?
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, my oldest daughter, she lives in Connecticut, and she just posted a bunch of pictures. We were supposed to go on this hike. I can't pronounce when my grandson said the name. This was last year. He goes, "We're going to hike this for my birthday." And no, it was the beginning of this year. It wasn't last year. Beginning of this year. And when he said the name, it sounded like Mount Eggnog. And I go, Mount Eggnog? He's like, G Dog. He goes, no, not Mount Eggnog. It's like Marinac, or I don't know what it was. But anyway,
Yeah.
they just went on
There's a
this
mountain
hike.
anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they got 3 sons, 3, 5, and 8, and they climbed it. I mean, it's a 2 to 2.5 hour climb. Three year
Wow.
old, the 3 year old is up there climbing this 2.5 hour climb to the top. The pictures are spectacular. So yes, do they get out in nature? Yes. And my daughter here with her 2 daughters, they're 6 and 5, and they get out. They're at the beach all the time. They're out doing activities all the time. I love, and then my son doesn't have any kids. So, but he is an outdoor guy as well.
Mhm.
So, physically running and, outdoors, working out outdoors. So it's a part of who I was. It's a part of what my kids do, and it's a part of what my grandkids do. So
What
it's
do you say to the people right now? Like you shared that story on the beach, the grandfather sitting there on the phone and it broke your heart. What how can we shake them up a little bit? How can you introduce this? And is it ever too late to introduce it? And what would you say to someone if you could have walked up to him and said, "Hey," and made a difference without shaming him or judging him, to get that movement and connection going? Because I know this is where your passion is, to
yeah,
get this family-centered
absolutely.
connection going.
Yeah. Yeah, if I had that opportunity to again to say something, I probably would. And I would just say, we have so much time in our lives to spend with our grandkids. I'm not it's not like I'm
Yeah,
with my grandkids. I'm not with them every day like I was with my kids, right?
yeah.
If that is your grandchild, like you only have so many opportune times, right, that come your way. And take full advantage of these opportunities and develop a
Mm,
memory that that child will
mm,
remember. You know
mm,
what? When my grandpa and we would go to the beach, we spent time building sandcastles. We took walks along the sand. We identified birds in the sky, right? There's opportunity all around, and
right.
take advantage of that without putting him down. Just encourage him to look at it a little differently.
Mhm. How important is it to be in shape and physically? I'm talking physically, emotionally in shape too. Because I think that sometimes when we physically get out of shape, we can emotionally get out of shape. How important is that
Absolutely.
to engaging in this? Because I know a lot of people are like, I can't do it, or I can't bend down, or I don't want to be seen at the beach, or I don't want to, all the reasons why they can't. Tell me all the reasons why they can and how important it is to be. I mean, I know that you take your physical fitness not to the extreme, but you're really fit and this is a commitment. And what can you say to the people that haven't made it a commitment?
Yeah, we have all been there at some point in time, right?
Mm,
Think about like people that get married, oftentimes when they have kids, what do? They let go of themselves because everything is about the kid. And then all of a sudden you're just sitting around, you're hanging
mhm,
out, you're spending time in the house, and you're eating. And then all of a sudden your
yeah,
waistline goes from a 30 to a 32 to a 34 to a 36, right?
yeah,
And that could be over a 2 year period. And then all of a sudden you're now 40, 50 pounds overweight. And
yeah.
so everything that you remember the show Biggest Loser? Do you
Oh,
remember
yeah.
that show?
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
That show impacted me. I really loved watching from week to week these people lose 5, 10, 15 pounds in a week's worth of time. Like that was impactful. And the thing about it is we all, as we age, we always carry a little bit more weight than what we should. But don't
Mhm,
let it define us and don't let us keep us from doing the things that we love and we should be doing. But it definitely is a lot easier to be able to say, you know what, I can run with my grandkids. I can jump rope with my kids. I can be active. I can ride a bike without being winded. The other day,
mm,
I was taking an evening walk, and there was a couple ladies that were walking. I was, coming up on them, and they were breathing. Then they were kind of making fun, like they can't to themselves,
yeah,
like we can't even
yeah,
talk as we walk up this hill.
yeah,
Like, well, if you can't talk while you're walking up a hill, you certainly can't go jump rope or play hopscotch with your grandkids, right? Or your kids. Like, it's important for us
mm,
to do the best that we can with what we have because we only get one shot at it. We get one
mm,
shot. That's it. So for me, I want to be active with my grandkids. I
right.
want to do things with them. I want to be able to go hiking and not feel like I'm gassed or feel like I cannot do this. I want to show and lead by example. And so for me, it's important for my grandkids and for my kids, even though they're all adults, to
Yeah,
see as their dad or their grandfather somebody
yeah,
that takes care of themselves, who cares about themselves, and who wants to be physically able to do things, go out and
yeah.
kick a soccer ball, right? So,
So what would you tell the people that right now that a guy's listening to this right now? He's like, "Well, he's taking care of himself his whole life. It's already set in motion. I've got inertia. I'm addicted to Netflix. I love whatever it is I'm doing, my cigars or whatever guys like to sit around and do dips and chip or whatever they're loving." Um,
sure.
how do they make the shift simply, easily, what would be like 3 steps they could do right now to make a change?
The first thing is to say that I'm going to do this. I'm going to take that first initial step.
Gonna do this.
Don't let anything hold you back. Take the first step, right? Carve out the time in each day to do the things that are really important to you. There's garage dads who love to come home from work. They
Mhm.
immediately go in their garage, and that's their connection, right? And
I
and,
love that you call it garage dads. Garage dads. Oh, I never
you
thought
know,
about that before. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
so there are some that
Yeah.
that are out there. There's car dads. And it's not just dads. There's moms, and they get involved
Yeah.
in the things that they do. So take that first initial step. Carve out some time of which you can, whether you have kids or don't have kids, but
Mhm.
carve out that time each and every day and say, you know what, I'm going to get out and I'm going to move. I'm going to get out and I'm going to walk. I'm going to sit on the floor. I'm going to stretch and do the things that are important. But then, thirdly, is to show by example the
Mhm.
important things for other people to see what you're doing. And when I say other people, kids, grandkids, colleagues, whatever, because the last thing you want to do is feel like you're out of breath, you're winded, you're tired, because that's going to defeat you every single time.
So, what do you think families are facing right now? What is their biggest challenge that they're facing with the screen time, with the addiction? I mean, I coach people all day long, and I know the challenges with kids putting the boundaries of the phone. It's incredibly challenging. I didn't have to deal with that so much because
Yes,
I out of the gate, I wasn't a big fan of it. I wanted phones in bowls, at not at it just wasn't incorporated in, and my children are older. But I don't know. I think it's what do you think is the most challenging thing right now? Number one, with that and connecting and getting out there and just making that first step of movement of,
yeah.
I would say, connection.
Right.
Gotta disconnect to
Setting
reconnect.
guidelines,
Yeah.
right? Guidelines for yourself, but guidelines for your family. And just like you said, no, like we're going to sit and we're going to have dinner. Like my family, we didn't have cell phones, obviously, when I was growing up, but
Yeah.
my dad was a business owner and we had dinner 7 nights a week around the
Mhm.
table, right?
Yeah.
Unless, of course, we went to a restaurant.
Yeah.
My dad was always present. He was always there. The phone would be ringing. He would not answer it. Set guidelines, set
Mm.
parameters, set boundaries that says no cell phones at the table. We are going to have conversation. We're going to look at each other. We're going to hear about our day, right?
Yeah.
Let's share because you know what? Immediately, as soon as that dinner is over, what are we doing? We're back into our bedrooms. We're
Yeah.
back watching television. We're back scrolling. We're back messaging our friends, right? So there's immediate disconnection again to do that. So it's like, let's set the boundaries. The thing about it is like a lot of parents allow kids to have cell phones at too early of an age.
Yeah.
They don't need to have those cell phones. Right now, there's states that are picking up this new agenda that
Oh
says
yeah.
no cell phones at schools. And guess
Yeah.
what? I'm hearing teachers that say, you know what? I'm having more connection with my kids than ever before.
Yeah.
Kids are asking questions in class. Kids are asking my opinion. Kids are diving into information without being, distracted by their cell phones.
I
So
can't
think
imagine the
about that.
social pressure, the comparison, the what it must be at this young age of not knowing how to regulate yet and
Yes,
thinking that is the norm, that is the I mean, I understand social media and the highlights and the lowlights and what we see isn't always accurate. And I'm always telling people that you don't see behind the scenes. That
that's
is
right.
not and everyone's got a lens of whom they think people are, and it's just not always the truth. But
Yeah,
that's the how they need them to show up. I can't imagine being in a that young developmental body and judging myself by my peers out there and everyone being on it and having to
yeah.
disconnect. But I also think what this is a great conversation is um, the parents have learned to disconnect too.
They
And I
have to
think
learn
the back of the day, it was
it.
plug them in front of, Sesame Street or TV and get some things done. Then it
Yeah,
was now it's tablets. Now it's, I remember getting my Lexus and they said, "Oh, and it's got seats," but I'm like, "It's got TVs behind the seats." And I'm like, "Oh, Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, and I never used them, but it was
Yeah.
like I had TV screens that my kids could have watched. But
Right.
I'm a big, if anyone that follows me and listening, they know that I, even on planes, I don't work, I'm not on my phone, I don't connect to Wi-Fi. I look out the window. I cloud
Mm,
watch, I visit, but mainly I look out that window. I connect to whatever it is I'm looking at. And it's
yeah,
beautiful. I've
it
seen some
is.
amazing things: sunrises, sunsets, clouds, mountain ranges, lakes. I'm always wondering what the people are doing down there, but I allow myself to daydream and just create. And it's the most, I look forward to it. I can't
Absolutely.
imagine sitting there and, I see people getting their, I've never drank alcohol and I'm not judging anyone that does, but usually they'll get their cocktails and they're sitting there with their cocktails and those Red Bull things. I've never had one of those either. They pour their cocktail with the Red Bull. They're making this, and I'm watching that, and they're sitting there just typing away manically for hours, working. And I'm like, I wonder what that would look like if you just closed your eyes and maybe just, I'll change seats with you. I always get the window seat. I'm always 2A on the plane, always 2A. And if it's not 2A, it's 4A. I always get the same seat. And it's
That's
like,
awesome.
even when it's booked, someone says, you're not going to get it. You're on standby. I'm like, oh no, it'll be, and boom, I got 2A. It's crazy, but what we can call in. But that being said, how important is it for people to just be present and daydream without this big goal of I need to let's what do you think about that? What I just said, daydreaming and creating, and maybe it looks like it's unproductive.
I think it's so important for us to get out and to imagine. I think it's important for us to get out and to see what's out there and what's waiting for us.
Mhm.
The other morning I got out and I opened up the front door and the moon and several of the planets are right there in front of me,
Oh
right?
yeah.
And so I
Yeah.
have this thing called Sky View and I hold it
Yeah, all
up and it
six are in
shows the
alignment right
planets.
now. Boom.
Oh, it was
Yeah.
just in my face. It was
Yeah.
beautiful, right? Had I not stepped out for my morning walk, I missed that opportunity, right?
Yeah.
So the thing about it is there are opportunities that wait for us every single day. Nature that's out there. There's beauty all around us. Even if you're living in the city streets, right?
Mhm.
There are beautiful parks to go and visit.
Yeah.
Get out and visit them, right? And the thing about it is there's so many
Mhm.
free things that are there for us. And when I think about my book that's called Unplugged, right? It's unplugging from devices and
Yeah.
exploring. I love that word, especially for kids to get out and
Explore.
explore. We have the monarchs, right? That come out, the
Oh yeah.
butterflies, right? It's just spectacular, right?
Yeah.
To get out in nature and for the kids to look up in these huge eucalyptus trees, right?
And look
And
at the
just to
butterflies.
take
Yeah.
it all in. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing.
I love
So,
that.
nature is around us no matter where we are. And even if we have to take a little short drive or we have to get on the bicycles and we get out, we can
Mhm.
go and explore. And so it's just a matter of taking and setting aside the time to make it happen.
So people that say, I don't have the time, they're listening to this and they're like, he doesn't know my schedule. I don't have the time. Every moment is booked. What can you say to them that can inspire them?
First of all, I would say it's garbage. I know that's not inspirational, but that's the truth. It's
Yeah.
garbage. We're all
Yeah.
given 24 hours a day. And the question
Mm,
is what do you feel? If you went down and you marked down every hour, what do you spend your day doing? You will find that there are times that you can carve out in your schedule. We all
mm.
can carve out time
Yep.
if it's a priority. you know
Absolutely.
Work is a
I'm a big,
priority, because we have to make money, right?
yeah.
So, are we working 6 hours, 8 hours, 10, 12, 14? What are we doing with our day? Then,
Yeah.
how much time do we have, with our family, right?
Yeah.
How much time do we have for self? How much
Yeah.
time can we create? And I think it's important if we can spend 30 minutes to an hour, all right,
Yeah.
in our day getting away and doing the things that we
Mm,
should be doing because we're going to find that our lives are more creative. We're going to find our production levels go way up. we're going to find our relationships are increase. We're going to find that our anxiety and our depression go down, right? All of these things. And we talk about, we have these doctors that come onto programs and talking about this. Well, we need to take Ozempic because we need to lose weight. No, we're not willing to do the hard work, right?
Mhm.
We need to take these antidepressant things, right? And I know that pharmaceutical is important if we get to a certain point, but if we just step out and do the things that we need to do, get the sunshine vitamin that we need every day, and
Yeah.
spend time exploring, spend time outside exercising and moving our bodies, it's going to be productive. It's not going to be
Mhm.
counterproductive. It's going to be
Yeah.
productive to increase our daily lives.
Yeah. You're moving
You
that
know?
needle forward. Did you ever think you were going to be inspiring families, movement, fitness, connection? I mean, when all this started connecting and you wrote that one word movement in that journal, did you have any idea where this would go? That you'd be
No.
inspiring so many families, that you'd be writing children's series, that you'd write the book Untapped, that you do your live event, that you would have such an impact?
The answer is no, because when I first started journaling, I had no idea it was going to turn into books, and I had no idea that it was just going to continue, and I was going to write more books, and I was
Mm.
going to encourage more people, and get people to imagine and to think about our daily lives and how we can change for the better, but how if we change, the environment around us can change,
Yeah.
right? The impact that we can make in society today. So
Yeah.
change happens within,
Yeah.
you know?
And so you were just saying, and that's my next question was, we all want to do it. And, and I think it's easier for some of us than others to do it. But I know that people are addicted, to it could be Netflix screen time. Like you said, it's not getting outside and coming back in, it's getting outside
Yes.
and people having anxiety about putting their phone down or connecting, or they've got no clue on how to make all this happen. Um, what would you say to that? Not even gonna ask you a question. What would you say to that energy that I just put out there?
I say to people that, it's just so important that, that you take time for yourself. You take time to connect with nature. You find yourself because I knew who I was, but there was so much more inside.
Yeah.
There was so much within me that I had no idea that what was possible. And the possibilities are within all of us. I watched this Netflix that on Katrina, remember in 2005,
Oh yeah.
Katrina, and what they went through. The hardships that those people went through for 5 days.
Mm,
No
living on
food,
roofs. Yeah.
no
Listen.
water,
Yeah.
sitting
Holding
on
signs up on
rooftops.
roofs. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we endure. Our story is for everybody is different, right? And
Yeah.
so no matter the hardship, no matter what we go through in life, mentally we can overcome anything that we want.
Yes.
If we're overweight today, guess what? We can, if we focus up here, our minds, we can train our minds to tell our bodies, hey, we don't have to have those donuts first thing in the morning, right? We don't have to have those snacks late at night. We don't have to binge and
Yeah.
overindulge in that. That's just one aspect. But
Yeah.
it's really what we want to do with our lives.
Yeah.
And in my life at 57 years of age, I want to be able to speak into the lives of people and to encourage people, not put people down, but encourage people to know that they can overcome, that the
Mhm.
story within can be shared, and that their story is important for other people to hear because if it impacts one person's life, then it makes a difference and it's all worth it. Everything that we do in life, like it is to be an encouragement for somebody else. And
Right.
hopefully in your life, which I know is true, and in my life, I hope it is true that we can impact somebody to whether we're moving more, we're disconnecting from devices more, we're
Yeah.
pausing from that, we're writing more, we're creating more. I never, like I said, I never knew that I was going to become an author. I never knew, but I put myself
Mhm.
out there and it happened. And
Yeah.
the thing about there is that you can do it. You
Mm.
can do it, whatever it is. And I want you to think about your life today and the things that are important in your life and to make an impact in the lives of other. And it could be your children, it could be your grandchildren, it could be just somebody that's in your network around you.
Yeah.
Impact people's lives.
And I want to add when I asked that question about addicted to phones and addicted to the energy and addicted to external validation we talked about unplugging. I think it's important to ask them what they don't want to feel. And
Yeah,
that the shift, I think you said when it starts, the emotional part, a component of it is just be willing to feel something new.
yeah,
And I think the newness often scares people. I don't know what that would
it
feel
does.
like. Yeah, but just be willing to feel something. I love that. How can people find you? What's coming up next? Tell me all. Where do you hang out? All the things. All the things.
Yeah, I hang out at the beach. I love playing beach volleyball, so you can find me on the beach
Oh,
playing
so you're gonna find them
volleyball
in Santa
somewhere.
Cruz on the beach. We're all gonna be going to the beach playing Santa Cruz volleyball. Yeah.
There you go. Where people can find me, Instagram is Move Today 365. And I'm on Facebook, Russell Rogers. And you can find me anywhere in there. You can find me at my website at movetoday365.com. Love to come into your community, love to encourage you. We've got events coming in 2026. They're called Impact. There are 4 cities next year that we're going to have impact events: Santa Cruz, Portland, Minneapolis, and Pittsburgh. I'm
I'm so
excited.
excited.
Dana's going to be present at a couple of them. She's going to be sharing her heart. It's amazing. So these are
Oh yeah.
opportunities. These are things of growth. And right now, I have 5 coloring books. The Today series coloring
Ooh.
books are coming out very, very soon,
I want a coloring
and
book.
it's
I
so
love to
cool.
color.
Absolutely. Absolutely. As adults, why not
Oh
color?
yeah.
Right? Think about what that does in our minds,
Yeah.
right? It settles us, and it helps us create, and we see colors and we imagine and we dream. It's a
Oh yeah.
beautiful thing. So
Yes.
the Today series books, I've asked my illustrator to extract all the color. We made a couple of changes. The cover's a little bit different. Those
Love
are going to be
this.
coming out soon. And then really what I'm excited with is my Imagine If book, which came out May 18th of this year.
Mhm.
I've created a elementary book with 30 statements in it for kids at elementary age. That's going to be coming out soon, and then there's one that's going to be coming out for junior and senior highs, and they're just small paperback books, like
Love
5 by
this.
7,
So your
but
heart
they're
is
just
really
30
connected at
statements to help a
getting
kid.
them young, getting them young, reprogramming them
Yes,
before the programs become
yes,
indoctrinated into a life where, when we get to the age where we're addicted to it and then we don't want to feel and then we have to reprogram, you're getting them young where you're just like planting those spiritual seeds of, hey, let's do it different. Love that. I love this movement. I love what you're doing. I love the fact you wrote movement in that journal
yes,
without any idea of where this would grow and morph. And I am so excited to be part of this and to watch you do what you do in the world. You're like a beauty. You're like, yeah, I can see you in Santa Cruz, like a beam of light, like the lighthouse there. You're like this beam of light coming from Santa Cruz in the fog. I know it's foggy there today, right? Oops, we
early.
froze. Yeah.
Oh, we
We
froze. Oh,
froze.
there
Yeah,
you
we
are.
froze a little bit. Yeah. But we're both in California. And if you're listening to this, if it's not edited out, we've got weather. It should be summertime, but we got weather going on, some lightning, some thunder. It's cloudy here in Chico, California. Hey, you have a podcast too. Talk to us about your podcast show.
Dual Coast podcast. My podcast partner Dan Skoka, who's on the East Coast, and I'm on the West Coast, so we call it Dual Coast, and it's all about health and wellness. We have you were a guest with us last week, but we have Captain who talks about breathing work and the importance of breathing each and every day and how to breathe and the importance of it.
Yeah.
This is a guy who averaged 3.5 hours of sleep a night, who learned the technique of breathing correctly, and now he sleeps
Yeah.
normally. Breath work, right? And how it
Yeah.
can change our lives and how it can free up our minds and putting the right energy into our bodies. And so
Yeah.
we have all these amazing guests that
Yeah.
come on. It's live every Tuesday morning, 5:30 a.m. on the West Coast, 8:30 on the East Coast, and it's just about encouraging, inspiring, educating, motivating people to live healthier lives. So
I love it.
yeah, check us out, Dual Coast Podcast on
Yeah, and
Instagram.
it's on Apple and
Yeah.
Spotify. We'll have all the
So
links, but you can
great
find it
things.
everywhere. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. All the things. I think all the things
You can
that
find it everywhere.
people,
YouTube, TikTok.
yeah, everything that everyone needs today, and that's just I think always movement, which helps mental health, which helps our connections, all of it being connected. I love,
Yes.
love, love how you're showing up and shining a light on something so important. And you didn't just
Thank
focus on
you.
adults. You focused on our next generation and their next generation of where it begins and how we can get back to basics and the
Yeah.
simplicity of movement, connection,
Yes.
and organic happiness, of just being in awe of how beautiful this world is, you
Yeah.
know, and there
You
is
know,
beauty.
there is beauty all around us. The difficult challenge is for those parents who have allowed their kids to spend so much time on their
Yeah,
tablets, on the phones
yeah,
at age 7. That
yeah,
challenge is going to be a challenge the rest of their life. The thing about it is that for those parents who have children who are at birth 1 years old, 2 years old, who
yeah,
don't know anything about a cell phone or anything about a tablet, now is the time to set the boundaries. Now is
yeah,
the time to show them the way in which to go. So
yeah.
we need parents who are going to be parenting kids to get outside and to move, to spend more time in nature than spending more time on our cell phones or on our devices or whatever technology that may be. Let's get back to the
Mhm.
grassroots of getting outside and connecting with one another.
And it's never too late. I just had a client I spoke to this morning that just came off an epic vacation. She shut their phones off while they were at the dude ranch, while they were doing their thing. And I'm like, you shut their phones off? She goes, yeah, so they couldn't use them. And
Ah, I
to make
love
sure they were
that.
present. And I'm like, I'm writing that down for, but I'm paying that forward because I can imagine a lot of parents didn't think that they had the permission or authority to do that because I think that sometimes we have to say, I'm the authority, I'm the
Yeah,
parent, I have to lead by example. That means I have to put my phone down too, which I think is a big one,
that's
because
right.
kids will say, well, you're on your phone,
Yeah,
so we have to put it down too. We have to figure out have that conversation, how to reconnect and how to find that energy and that flow again, which always isn't easy in the beginning, I think.
that's right.
But
That's right.
it's that first step to newness.
But
Yeah,
they can do it.
but you can
Parents,
do
you
it.
can do it. Make it happen
Yeah,
today.
we're here. We're rooting for you. We're believing in you. So put that phone down and lead by example and, and know that there's probably going to be a detox period
Yeah, absolutely.
and a FOMO.
Absolutely. But we're right here with you,
We're right here
encouraging
with
you
you.
all the way.
Yep, I'm going to be sitting in my garden watching my tomatoes grow, and I'm rooting you on absolutely all the way.
Love
Russ
it.
Rogers, you are one of my favorite humans. Thank you for showing up today with
Thank
your
you, Dana.
energy, enthusiasm, your honesty, everything about you. I just thank you.
Thank you
Grateful
so
for you.
much. I appreciate the opportunity to share. I really do.
Well, everyone,
You're a blessing.
your blessing. I hope people you download this. I hope you let your children listen to it, your neighbor listen to it, your friend listen to it. Know that it's possible and reach out to Russ. Follow him on Instagram. Get his books, the Today Series, all of it. The coloring books. I can't wait. We'll probably put the link on that too if it's still available or if it's available. Find his podcast, Dual Coast. You're just going to want to connect with him on every level. You won't regret it. All right, everyone, from
Thank
our
you so
hearts to
much.
yours, thank you for being here
Appreciate it.
today. Mwah. Bye for now.
Bye bye.